Jungkook breaks down after Jimin's brutal confession about his fiancée. Secrets unravel, loyalties are tested, nothing will ever be the same. The wine glass shattered on the floor just seconds after Jimin whispered, "She's not who you think she is, Jungkook." The silence that followed was deafening thick, almost alive, as if the room itself was holding its breath. The dim chandelier above cast golden shadows over Jungkook's trembling hands, still clutching the letter he hadn't yet dared to read. The veins in his neck were taut, the corners of his eyes wet with disbelief. He didn't blink. "Say that again?" Jungkook's voice cracked, raw and low, like something torn open. Jimin didn't flinch. His expression was unreadable, a mask of controlled fury and quiet devastation. He stepped forward slowly, past the broken glass, past the velvet-lined piano where so many of their memories had lived. "You're marrying a lie," he said, softer this time, almost mournfully. "And if you don't believe me, read what she left in my apartment." Outside, rain pelted the windows like a warning. Thunder growled distantly, echoing the tension spiraling in Jungkook's chest. He looked at the letter again, cream-colored, unassuming. His name written in her delicate cursive. But it wasn't his fiancée who gave it to him, it was Jimin. Everything felt wrong. 3 days earlier, the world had been perfect. Jungkook had proposed to Hana under a blanket of cherry blossoms in Kyoto, with Jimin clapping the loudest. She'd said yes with tears in her eyes and promises on her lips. They'd toasted with champagne, taken blurry selfies, even called their manager to plan a joint press release. It had been real. It had felt real. Now, the walls were closing in. The letter shook in his hand. "You loved her too," Jungkook finally said, barely audible. His eyes met Jimin's. "Didn't you?" Jimin's jaw twitched. "I loved who I thought she was." And just like that, everything that had once been steady began to crack. Jungkook collapsed onto the edge of the couch, the letter finally opening in his lap like a wound. The first line hit him like a truck. "If you're reading this, I've already left." He couldn't breathe. His chest tightened. Jimin moved to the fireplace, flicking the switch that lit the gas flames, their glow reflecting in his eyes. He looked older tonight, tired, more fragile than the stage version of him ever allowed. "You knew," Jungkook whispered. "You knew something and didn't tell me." Jimin turned slowly. "I tried, but you were too in love to see anything." The air between them pulsed with years of brotherhood, trust, and now betrayal. The letter spoke of another man, of debts owed, of threats made, of identities changed, of an accident from 3 years ago, an unsolved hit and run that had killed a journalist investigating Hybe's internal scandals. A journalist who, according to the letter, had been her father. "She came for revenge," Jimin said, looking into the flames. "She got close to you to destroy everything from the inside." Jungkook's tears finally fell, not from the sting of betrayal alone, but from the hollow realization that everything he had built with her, every laugh, every kiss, every whispered dream, was designed to break him. "She said she loved me." His voice broke mid-sentence. "She probably did," Jimin said, finally looking at him, "but love doesn't erase motive." The rain intensified outside, as if the storm was sinking with his spiraling grief. Jungkook buried his face in his hands, breath hitching, shoulders shaking not just from sorrow, but from shame. How could he have missed it all? The late-night calls she wouldn't explain. The locked drawer in her apartment. The name she flinched at during that one dinner in Busan. The pieces had been there. He just hadn't wanted to see them. A knock echoed through the apartment. Sharp, deliberate. Both men froze. Jungkook wiped his face with the back of his hand. "You expecting someone?" Jimin shook his head. Another knock. This time it was followed by a voice from the other side. "She's gone missing," said Taehyung, urgent and out of breath. "We found blood in her hotel room." The flames in the fireplace hissed louder. The letter slipped from Jungkook's lap, landing on the floor next to the shattered glass. He stood slowly, the weight of everything collapsing into him at once. Love, deception, danger, and now, disappearance. The hunt for truth had only just begun. "I said don't touch anything." Namjoon's voice sliced through the tension like a blade as he pushed the door open wider, revealing the chaos inside room 1206. Jungkook froze in the hallway, his lungs tightening at the coppery scent of blood that hit him almost instantly. His boots stepped hesitantly onto the carpet, damp in places, a dark stain stretching beneath the hotel bed like a shadow with a secret. The room had been ransacked, drawers overturned, lamp shattered, a mirror cracked diagonally, as if someone had punched it in fury. On the floor near the mini-fridge lay a single earring, her earring. Jimin knelt near it and picked it up, his fingers trembling slightly as he turned the gold in his hand. "This is hers," he said, not asking, just knowing. Jungkook snatched it from him, gripping it tight. The same pair she wore in their Kyoto photos. She wouldn't leave this behind unless... She didn't leave, Taehyung interrupted coldly. She was taken. Silence. Namjoon took a slow breath. There's no sign of forced entry. Whoever came here, she let them in. Jungkook's mind was racing, heart pounding like war drums. Or maybe, she planned it. You think she staged all this? Taehyung snapped, pointing to the blood trail smeared near the window ledge. That's not fake. That's real. You think she cut herself for the drama? She's done worse, Jimin muttered, eyes dark. She lied to all of us for 2 years. But she's missing now, Jungkook said, stepping closer to the broken mirror. His reflection looked haunted, sunken eyes, clenched jaw, the beginning of a storm behind his gaze. Whatever she was planning, it's out of control now. A knock sounded from the hallway again. This time, it wasn't hesitant. Yoongi appeared at the threshold, flanked by 2 men in black suits. His usual calm demeanor was replaced by something steely. He scanned the room with a sharp gaze before speaking. Hybe wants this quiet. No press, no statements, no leaks. Jimin scoffed. So we're just supposed to act like nothing happened? Like our best friend's fiancé isn't missing after possibly bleeding out in a hotel room? Yoongi gave him a look. No, we act smart. This isn't just about her anymore. This is about us, our name, our legacy. And someone is trying to bury it. Namjoon's voice dropped. There's more. We pulled the surveillance from the last 24 hours. She wasn't alone. He turned the laptop around and hit play. The grainy footage showed Hana stepping into the elevator at 10:42 p.m. She looked calm, composed. But at 10:44, the elevator stopped at floor 9. A man stepped in. Jungkook leaned forward. The man wore a baseball cap low over his face, but something about his posture was familiar. Pause it, Jimin said. Zoom in on his hand. Namjoon did. There it was, a black tattoo winding around the man's wrist. Jungkook's stomach dropped. I've seen that before. Yoongi's eyes narrowed. So have I. Taehyung's voice was quiet now, almost a whisper. It's Park Jisoo. The name detonated like a grenade in the center of the room. Park Jisoo, a disgraced ex-trainee, kicked out of Hybe 5 years ago for hacking company records. Rumor had it, he'd gone underground, sold secrets to rivals, blackmailed producers, and vanished. Now he was back. And with Jungkook's fiancée. Jungkook felt something inside him shift. This wasn't just a broken engagement anymore. This was war. She knew him, Jimin whispered. All this time, she knew. Yoongi looked up. And she didn't just know him, she was working with him. Namjoon pulled out a folder from his bag, tossing it onto the table with a loud slap. These are messages we recovered from an encrypted email. She wasn't just playing Jungkook, she was reporting on him, on all of us. Every move, every trip, every whisper in the studio. Jungkook felt like he couldn't breathe. The betrayal dug deeper than skin. It buried itself in the roots of who he was. Why? He asked, his voice nearly breaking. Why would she do this to me? To us? Jimin sat down hard on the edge of the bed. Maybe she never stopped blaming us for her father's death. We had nothing to do with that, Taehyung snapped. Didn't we? Jimin fired back. He was killed while investigating Hybe. He was about to release a story, a scandal. Then bam, hit and run. No suspects, no follow-up. Yoongi's expression was unreadable. Because the truth was buried, and someone paid a lot to keep it that way. And now, Namjoon said slowly, his daughter tried to burn us down from the inside. Jungkook stood motionless, eyes fixed on the blood-stained carpet. His voice came low, like a vow. If she's in danger, I'll find her. But if she did this willingly... He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. The silence that followed was suffocating. Then Jimin's phone buzzed. He looked down. Unknown number. One text message. You want answers? Come alone. Roof. 10 minutes. No cops. Or she dies. He turned the screen around. Jungkook read it, heart stuttering. The sender had attached a photo. Hana, tied to a chair, eyes wide. A fresh cut across her cheek. Blood on her shirt. She was alive. For now. Jimin stood. I'm going. No, Jungkook said. We're going. Yoongi was already pulling something from his coat, a small earpiece and a mic. I'll be in your ear. You'll need eyes from every angle. Jisoo's dangerous. We don't know if he's armed. I don't care, Jungkook growled. He has her. And I need to look her in the eyes when I ask her the question that's been killing me since yesterday. Jimin didn't ask what the question was. He already knew. And as the elevator climbed toward the rooftop, the wind howling through the night like a wounded beast, every man inside knew something irreversible was about to happen. This wasn't just about love anymore. It was about loyalty. And the price of the truth. The rooftop door slammed open with a metallic groan, the cold wind immediately whipping through Jungkook's black jacket like claws. The night was breathless, heavy with tension, and Seoul glittered beneath them, oblivious, distant, and cruelly indifferent. Jimin stepped forward first, slow and deliberate, the earpiece in his ear buzzing faintly with Yoongi's calm voice. Keep your back to the wall. Don't let him box you in. Jungkook followed a step behind, fists clenched, adrenaline coursing hot in his veins. He could hear the thud of his heartbeat in his ears, louder than the wind, louder than Yoongi's voice, louder than the screaming in his own head. And then he saw her. Hana was tied to a metal chair near the edge of the rooftop, her wrists raw against the ropes, blood staining the collar of her white blouse. Her head was tilted forward, long hair covering her face, but at the sound of footsteps, she looked up. Jungkook's breath caught in his throat. Her eyes were swollen but clear, focused, and behind them fear, not guilt, not hatred, but something else, something pleading. Jimin, she croaked, her voice barely audible over the wind. And then he appeared. Park Ji-soo stepped out from the shadows, a pistol in one hand, lazy, almost casual. His smile was twisted, smug, as if the rooftop was a stage and they were all puppets dancing for his amusement. I was wondering how long it would take for the heroes to show up, he said, voice soaked in mockery. Let her go, Jimin snapped, stepping closer. Ji-soo tilted his head. You think this is about her? Jungkook moved next to Jimin now, eyes locked on Hana. She mouthed something to him, but the wind ripped the sound away. He took one more step forward. Ji-soo raised the gun lazily. I said come alone. And yet here you are, two idols playing action heroes. We're not playing, Jungkook said coldly. Ji-soo laughed. But she wasn't she? He pointed the gun toward Hana. Your sweet little fiancée, the tragic orphan, the wide-eyed fan who caught your heart. He grinned wider. She lied to you for 2 years, and you still ran to save her. I'm not here to save her, Jungkook said, voice low. I'm here for answers. Ji-soo smirked. Careful, you might not like them. I deserve them. Jimin stepped sideways, trying to flank him subtly. You used her. I saved her, Ji-soo barked. Your company killed her father. Hybe made him disappear. Do you think you're clean in all of this? Yoongi's voice crackled into Jimin's ear. Keep him talking. Taehyung's in position. We need 30 more seconds. Jungkook's fists tightened. I didn't even know who her father was when I met her. But she knew you, Ji-soo spat. She studied you, researched you. She memorized your routines, your passwords, your triggers. She knew everything because she had to. Because your company destroyed her family. She loved me. Jungkook's voice cracked like thunder, emotion bursting through his control. I saw it, felt it. Don't tell me none of it was real. Jisoo's eyes narrowed. And that's your tragedy, isn't it? He said quieter now. That you still hope it was. Jimin stepped closer to Hana, eyes flicking to her bindings, to the faint bruise under her jaw. What did you do to her? She volunteered, Jisoo said, until she didn't. Hana raised her head again. Jungkook, don't listen to him, she gasped. He's using my father to justify everything. He doesn't care, he just wanted leverage. Jisoo's head snapped toward her. Shut up. Jimin moved fast. In a single motion, he kicked the metal pipe beside him. It clattered across the rooftop, and in that split second of distraction, Taehyung emerged from the rooftop access behind Jisoo, tackling him hard to the ground. The gun skidded across the concrete. Jungkook lunged for Hana, dropping to his knees to untie her. Are you hurt? He asked breathlessly. She nodded faintly, tears spilling now. I didn't mean for it to go this far. What did you mean for it to be, Hana? Jimin's voice was sharp, broken, not with anger but betrayal. She looked at both of them, soaked in moonlight, blood on her hands, mascara streaked down her cheeks. At first it was revenge. Yes. I wanted to destroy the company that buried my father's investigation. I wanted to make you all bleed. And then? Jungkook asked, barely able to look at her. Then I met you, and I didn't want revenge anymore. I wanted you. Her voice cracked. But it was too late. Jisoo wouldn't let me leave. He had everything: emails, recordings, photos. If I tried to run, he'd expose everything and destroy you all. Jimin let out a strangled laugh. So you stayed to protect us? No. Her eyes locked onto Jungkook's. I stayed because I fell in love with the boy I was supposed to destroy. Jungkook's face twisted: grief, rage, confusion, all warring in his expression. How am I supposed to believe anything you say now? She reached into her blouse and pulled out a small flash drive tucked beneath her bra strap. Because I kept this hidden from him. It's the truth. Everything my father uncovered. The names, the payments, the real people responsible. It's all here. Jimin stepped forward, took the drive gently. We'll verify it. Yoongi emerged from the stairwell, armed security behind him now. Take her, take Jisoo, get them both locked down. Taehyung hauled Jisoo to his feet. You're done. Jisoo just laughed. You think this ends with me? You think Hybe is clean now? His voice echoed as he was dragged away. The real rot is still inside your house. The rooftop fell quiet. Jungkook stood staring at Hana. She reached for his hand, but he didn't move. I need time, he said finally, voice hoarse, to figure out which parts of you were real, and which were just acting. I understand, she whispered, tears falling freely now. But I meant it, Jungkook. Every night, every kiss, I was never faking that. He didn't answer. He turned and walked away, the wind swallowing the silence behind him. Jimin stood still, staring at the flash drive in his palm. He'd once sworn nothing could come between their brotherhood. But this? This was only the beginning. Because whatever was on that drive could tear everything they built to the ground. The flickering overhead light in the interrogation room buzzed like a dying fly. Hana sat chained to the metal chair, wrists cuffed in front of her, her knuckles bruised and her eyes hollow. Across from her, Namjoon leaned back in his seat, arms folded, his gaze cold and measured. He dropped the flash drive on the table between them. It's encrypted, he said flatly. We cracked the first layer. There are video files, audio, internal memos from years ago. Some names are redacted, others aren't. Hana didn't blink. I told you, it's all there. You recorded us. I recorded them, she replied. You just got caught in the crossfire. You targeted Jungkook. No, she whispered. Jisoo did. You got close to him under false pretenses. You infiltrated our inner circle. You attended our rehearsals, slept in our homes, cried at our award shows. And now we find out you were documenting everything. Namjoon's voice rose, but it wasn't rage, it was heartbreak, disguised as control. You used us. She looked down at her wrists. I started out wanting revenge, that's true, but I stayed because I didn't want it anymore. I stayed because I fell in love with the very people I was taught to hate. Namjoon's jaw tightened. That's not good enough. The door creaked open. Yoongi stepped in, holding a manila folder. His face was unreadable, his tone flat. We finished decoding the metadata on the files. You're not lying. The content on this drive, it's real. These. Error in message stream. Retry. The walls of the private HYBE boardroom felt colder than usual. It was past midnight, but no one had left the building. Not Jungkook, not Jimin, not Namjoon, who now stood at the head of the table with the flash drive inserted into a secure laptop, his expression frozen, jaw clenched. Jungkook leaned back in his chair, arms crossed tightly, his eyes hollow. He hadn't spoken much since the rooftop. Not to Jimin, not to Hana, who was now under tight security somewhere in the building, away from everyone, alone. Jimin sat opposite him, elbows on the table, his fingers tapping restlessly against the wood. The silence between them, once brotherly, now bristled with something sharper. Then the screen lit up. A folder appeared. Untitled. Namjoon opened it. There were hundreds of files, audio recordings, emails, scanned documents, bank statements, digital photos, a digital graveyard of secrets. Jimin leaned in, squinting at one of the file names. Internal memo, Hybe, the 3rd of October 2020, RE damage control for Park YS incident. Jimin blinked. Park YS. That's Yoosung, right? The trainee who OD'd during prep for debut. That wasn't supposed to be public, Namjoon muttered, his voice dark. They told us it was an accident. A personal matter. Nothing to do with the company. Jungkook leaned forward. Open it. Namjoon clicked the file. The memo loaded. Cold corporate language, sanitized phrases. Media containment strategy in place. All personnel instructed to redirect narrative toward mental health discourse. Ensure family NDA is signed before any payout. Damage to debut lineup must be minimized at all costs. Jimin's hand froze on the table. This is real, he whispered. They paid off the family to keep quiet, Namjoon said, voice laced with disbelief. And used his death to make the group's mental health campaign look authentic, Jungkook added, the words tasting like ash in his mouth. Namjoon clicked through to another file. It was audio. He hit play. A recorded phone call crackled through the speakers. Female voice. If this goes public, your group is finished. Male voice. I know, but what about the girl? She's only 17. She didn't ask for this. Female voice. She knew what she was doing. If she talks, we shut her down. Simple. The audio ended. Jimin stood up so fast his chair toppled backward. What the hell is this? He snapped, pacing the room. 17? Who are they talking about? Jungkook stared at the screen. This isn't just about Hana's father. This is bigger. This is the system. Namjoon pulled up a final document, one marked, Confidential, Artist Surveillance. His hands were trembling now. The list displayed every artist under the label. Each name had timestamps, locations, dates, private conversations recorded without consent. Even their therapy sessions were transcribed. Jesus Christ, Jimin breathed. They were spying on us? Namjoon nodded slowly. All of us. Jungkook stood now, pacing to the window, staring out into the blackness of Seoul's skyline. So, this is what Hana's father found. This is why he was killed. She was trying to finish what he started, Jimin said, turning to him. And we nearly buried her for it. She still lied, Jungkook shot back. To me. To all of us. She didn't have a choice. Jimin's voice rose. You think if she walked in and told you the truth on day one, you'd have listened? Or reported her to security like everyone else? Jungkook turned, voice sharp. Don't defend her. Jimin stepped closer. I'm not defending her. I'm defending the truth. And right now, you're too angry to see it. Namjoon slammed the laptop closed. The sound cracked through the room like a whip. We can't sit on this, he said. If this gets leaked, the company's finished. Then maybe it should be, Jimin muttered. Namjoon shot him a look. You say that like we haven't built our lives on this place. Maybe that's the problem, Jungkook said. We built our lives on a lie. Yoongi entered the room without knocking. His expression was unreadable, but the tension in his body said everything. She's asking to see you, he told Jungkook. I'm not ready. She says it's about your brother. The room went still. Jungkook turned slowly. What? She says your older brother isn't dead, and she can prove it. The color drained from Jungkook's face. That's not possible. She says Hybe faked the death certificate, Yoongi said. That your brother was part of the whistleblowing team your father assembled years ago, the same team that vanished after the first scandal. No, Jungkook said, shaking his head. He died when I was 14. I saw the funeral. You saw a closed casket, Yoongi said quietly. Jungkook staggered back a step. Jimin's voice was soft now. You need to talk to her. Jungkook's mind spun with images, his brother's laugh, the way he ruffled his hair, the last blurry memory of a hospital bed and his mother's broken sobs. He swallowed hard. Where is she? Detention room B. Monitored. We'll be right outside. Jungkook turned to Namjoon. Don't let this drive out of your sight. Encrypt it. Hide it. I don't care how. Namjoon nodded. You have my word. Jungkook walked out of the boardroom without looking back, his chest burning, his throat tight. Down 3 floors, past the late-night security, into a room lit only by a single overhead light. Hana sat alone, hands cuffed to the table, eyes swollen, but steady. When she saw him, she flinched like she'd expected a slap. Instead, he sat across from her slowly. You said something about my brother, he said. She nodded, her voice barely a whisper. His name is John Minyuk, right? Jungkook didn't respond. He didn't die in a car accident. He was recruited. By who? By your father. Your real father. Not the one you thought was your biological dad. There's more, Jungkook. So much more. The blood in this company doesn't just come from artists. It runs through families, generations. Your family. Jungkook stared at her, the cracks in his world now shattering into chasms. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because I didn't trust you yet, she said. And because I didn't want to watch your world collapse. She leaned forward, chained but still somehow powerful. But now I need you to help me finish what he started. Jungkook closed his eyes for a long moment, then opened them slowly. What do I have to do? She smiled through the tears. Burn the house down. And in that room, under flickering fluorescent lights, Jungkook made a decision that would change everything, not just for himself, not just for BTS, but for the empire they unknowingly helped protect. And this time, he would not be a pawn. He would be the reckoning. Burn the house down, she had said. Jungkook stood in the rain an hour later, no umbrella, soaked through to the bone, staring up at the glittering tower that was HYBE headquarters. To the public, it was a beacon of global success, unshakable, immovable. But he had seen its foundation now. He knew the truth buried beneath the glass and concrete. The rot, the lies, the blood. His phone buzzed. A message from Yoongi. Press sniffing around the hotel. Jisoo's leak got out. We have maybe 24 hours before everything breaks loose. Jungkook didn't reply. His mind was back in that detention room, Hana's face pale, her voice shaking but determined. Her words still echoed, refusing to let him breathe. Your brother worked on Project Seraphim, a classified division inside HYBE's old R&D, artist conditioning, surveillance, manipulation, psychological engineering. The kind of program that could manufacture loyalty or break it. He wasn't just part of it. He helped build it. That's not possible, Jungkook had said. He was studying medicine. He didn't even... Because he was recruited through his med program, she interrupted. And when he tried to expose it, he disappeared. HYBE faked his death to protect the program. Your parents were silenced. Your entire family was rewritten. You're lying. No, she had whispered. I'm giving you back your memory. He had screamed at her, punched the wall, cursed her until his voice cracked. And then she said the one thing that shattered his disbelief. Check your mother's safe. Behind the photograph. There's a letter, written in Minhyuk's hand, dated a week after his death. You want truth? Start there. So he had. And now, standing in the rain, the letter in his back pocket, stained and creased from how tightly he had gripped it, Jungkook knew. It was real. His brother was alive. Or at least, he had been. Back at the dorm, the others were waiting. Jimin opened the door before Jungkook could knock. His face was tense, eyes shadowed with sleepless worry. You found the letter, he said. Jungkook didn't answer. He walked past him, straight into the living room, where Namjoon, Taehyung, and Yoongi were gathered around a table stacked with printouts and photos from the flash drive. The air was heavy with fear and fury. Taehyung looked up. You okay? No, Jungkook said. He pulled the letter from his pocket and placed it on the table. Yoongi picked it up, eyes scanning quickly. As he read, his jaw clenched. The room went dead quiet. Namjoon was the first to speak. We need to assume we're all being watched. Not just tracked watched. Cameras, mics, even in our dressing rooms. That's what these files suggest. Jimin leaned forward. So what do? We go public, Taehyung said. Namjoon shot him a glare. We can't just dump all of this. It would destroy the company and us. Maybe it should, Jungkook said. Everyone turned to him. I used to think HYBE saved us. But maybe it just used us. Maybe everything, the training, the sacrifices, the pressure, they weren't building artists. They were building soldiers. Obedient, marketable soldiers. Yoongi nodded slowly. We release this the wrong way. We look like bitter idols trying to burn our careers. No one will believe us. We make them believe, Jimin said. We leak it in pieces. Controlled drops. Targeted leaks. Just enough to spark curiosity, force the press to dig. When the public starts asking questions, we drop the hammer. Namjoon looked unconvinced. That means going to war with our own label. Jungkook looked him dead in the eyes. They already started the war when they took my brother. Silence again. Then Yoongi leaned back in his chair. I know someone, a journalist, trusted. She used to work with Hana's father. She's off-grid now, but she'll listen. Namjoon exhaled slowly. Then we move. Quietly. Smartly. We burn the house down brick by brick. Taehyung raised an eyebrow. And if HYBE figures out what we're doing before then? Yoongi smirked. Then we make sure they're too afraid to stop us. The next few hours passed in a blur of whispered plans and encrypted messages. They split up each task with discrete roles, contacting old allies, pulling financial records, digging deeper into the original Project Seraphim files. By dawn, they had a blueprint. But fate didn't wait. Because by noon, the internet exploded. Number HYBE scandal. Number Project Seraphim. Number Justice for Minhyuk. A single thread posted anonymously on a dark forum had surfaced. Screenshots, leaked audio, partial documents, Not from them. Someone had jumped first. Jungkook stared at the screen. A name attached to the post. Minhyuk 88. His hand trembled. Is that him? Jimin asked, peering over his shoulder. Jungkook couldn't speak. His heart felt like it would break open. Namjoon stormed into the room. The board is calling an emergency meeting. CEOs flying back from Tokyo. They're panicking. They should be, Yoongi muttered. Jungkook's phone buzzed again. Unknown number. One message. They found me. You need to run. Don't trust anyone, especially not Sejin. Attached was a live location. It was already moving. Fast. He's alive, Jungkook whispered. Jimin grabbed the phone. Who's Sejin? Yoongi's face went pale. He was your father's right hand. Now he's head of artist protection. If he's compromised... Jungkook didn't wait. He ran. Jimin and Taehyung right behind him. They had a name now. They had a lead. And for the first time, they had something bigger than fame. They had purpose. This wasn't just about a missing brother or a shattered love. This was about the soul of everything they had built. And now, finally, they were ready to fight for it. The black van skidded into the alley behind the abandoned train station, tires screeching. Jungkook leapt out before the engine had fully stopped, his eyes scanning the crumbling walls and rusted metal like a soldier trained by instinct. Rain pelted the cracked pavement as if trying to wash away the sins that clung to the city's spine. Jimin jumped down beside him, voice low and sharp. Signal's getting weaker, he's close but either moving underground or... He's running, Jungkook cut in. Or someone's forcing him to. Taehyung exited the van last, his coat whipping behind him as he tapped furiously at the GPS map on his phone. Live location static now. 30 meters northwest. Building B, second floor. They moved as one silent, fast, eyes alert. Every window felt like a sniper's nest, every shadow a trap. This wasn't just a rescue. This was a race against a corporation that had buried bodies behind billion-dollar endorsements. The staircase was narrow, damp, the kind that groaned beneath your weight as if it resented your presence. At the second floor landing, the door was slightly ajar. A light flickered inside. Jungkook kicked it open. There, slumped against the far wall, bleeding from his shoulder and breathing shallowly, was Jeon Minhyuk. His older brother. Alive. Real. His face was bruised, thinner than Jungkook remembered, but his eyes, those eyes were exactly the same. Wild, defiant, and now locked onto him. Jungkook. Minhyuk coughed, blood flecking his lips. You look taller. Jungkook dropped to his knees beside him, grabbing his face, disbelief carved into every muscle. You're alive. You're alive, I thought you were dead. They told us you were dead. I was, Minhyuk rasped. On paper. That's how Hybe works. They don't erase people, they reassign them. Jimin and Taehyung scanned the room for threats while Jungkook pressed his palm against the bullet wound. You need a hospital, Jungkook said. No hospitals, Minhyuk hissed. They have eyes there too. You bring me to a clinic, I disappear again before I even get anesthesia. You're bleeding out, Taehyung barked. You won't make it without help. Minhyuk grabbed Jungkook's wrist, strength still in his fingers despite the pain. No one leaves here until you know the truth, all of it. Jimin shut the door, locking it. Then start talking. Minhyuk's chest rose with the weight of secrets too long buried. Project Seraphim started as a control experiment. Originally, it wasn't about artists, it was about politicians. They wanted to test how far influence could bend the human mind. Emotional mapping. Predictive loyalty. But when they realized entertainers had more global power than politicians, they pivoted. And Hybe became the test ground. Jungkook shook his head slowly. You're saying they didn't just manipulate our schedules and media, they manipulated us? Minhyuk's gaze locked on his. Every moment you thought was spontaneous, every natural conflict in the group engineered, scripted. Jimin's voice trembled, not with fear but fury. That fight I had with Namjoon in Osaka, the tour delay, the media spin. Manufactured to generate sympathy, Minhyuk said. Your tears become currency, your pain becomes profit. Jungkook stood up suddenly, pacing the room, one hand pulling at his hair. Why didn't you come back? Why disappear? They tried to kill me, Minhyuk said. I escaped with help from a tech working the inside. She died for it. After that, I went underground. Spent years tracing files, collecting evidence, watching them turn you into this. Jungkook's eyes flashed. Into what? Minhyuk didn't flinch. A product. Jimin sat beside Minhyuk now, voice quieter. Why now? Why reach out now? Because Hana found me, Minhyuk said. She cracked the wrong server and got flagged. They sent Jisoo to bring her in, clean up the mess. She ran. And I knew if I didn't move now, they'd bury you next. Jungkook's heart sank. She wasn't the enemy. No, Minhyuk said. She was the one trying to keep you from becoming me. A loud noise cracked outside, tires screeching. Taehyung ran to the window. Black SUVs. 2. Approaching fast. They found me, Minhyuk said, eyes going wide. You need to go. Now. We're not leaving you, Jungkook snapped. You have to, Minhyuk gasped. If they catch me, it's over. But you're still their golden boy. They need your face. That's your weapon. Jimin was already by the window, scanning exits. Back alley. We can loop around the tracks. I know a guy with a safe house. No, Jungkook said suddenly. We end this. Tonight. Don't be stupid, Taehyung snapped. I'm done hiding. I'm done pretending. Jungkook's voice was shaking with fire. They lied about my brother. Lied to our fans. Built a kingdom out of corpses. And we smiled for the camera like nothing was wrong. Jimin looked at him. So what's the plan? Jungkook turned to Minhyuk. Do you have access to the master file? The central archive? Minhyuk nodded faintly. It's not on the drive. Too dangerous. I've got it on a black box server. Air-gapped. Only one way in physical key and biometric scan. Where? Jungkook asked. Daejeon. Military bunker turned lab. We have to go dark to get in. Jimin nodded. Then we go dark. Taehyung cracked his knuckles. I've been waiting to punch someone in a suit. Jungkook helped Minhyuk to his feet. Blood still seeped from his side, but his legs held. Outside, the roar of Hybe's private security drew closer. Too close. Yoongi's voice crackled through the burner phone. Don't go back to HQ. They're scrubbing files and threatening staff. Someone leaked the leak. You boys need to vanish until we're ready. Already ahead of you, Jungkook said. Tell Hana. We're going to finish what her father started. Yoongi was quiet for a moment. Then, I hope you're ready, Jungkook, because once you light the match, there's no going back. Jungkook stared out at the night. I'm not going back. And somewhere deep inside Hybe, as old systems locked down and boardroom doors slammed, the pulse of an empire began to quicken. Because the faces they had built, the names they had branded, the boys they thought they owned, had finally turned against them. And now they were no longer idols. They were insurgents. And the war for the truth had only just begun. The train car thundered through the night, an old decommissioned freight model now repurposed into a ghost ride for fugitives. Its steel walls groaned with each curve in the tracks, and the only light came from a flickering industrial bulb overhead. Jungkook sat on a crate near the far wall, soaked in sweat, adrenaline, and unspoken rage. His shirt was stained with his brother's blood, and his fingers twitched with the weight of truth. Minhyuk lay wrapped in a tattered blanket on a makeshift bed of supplies. Taehyung had managed to stop the bleeding, but infection was a ticking clock. Still, Minhyuk's mind was alive. His eyes scanned an open laptop, tethered to a power bank and a satellite node that Jimin had acquired from a retired intelligence contact. The bunker key was embedded in Minhyuk's retinal signature and encrypted behind 7 layers of quantum-level firewalls. Jimin was pacing. Again. We don't have time to be subtle anymore, he said, voice sharp, cutting through the sound of the train's steel wheels grinding the track. The board's having an emergency shareholder vote in 2 days. If they pass the restructuring clause, Hybe becomes a full corporate state partnership. They'll have legal immunity from prosecution under the National Creative Security Act. Jungkook's eyes lifted slowly. You're saying they're about to become untouchable. I'm saying this is our last chance to expose them before they become the law, Jimin replied. Taehyung leaned against the door, chewing on the inside of his cheek. Then we leak everything. Not yet, Minhyuk interrupted, his voice hoarse. A mass leak without context will just make noise. They'll spin it. Blame rogue hackers, traitors, us. Jimin scoffed. They already do. But if we leak it during the vote, Jungkook said slowly, the pieces aligning in his mind. If we drop the files live while the cameras are on them, in front of their shareholders, in front of the media, they can't bury it, Minhyuk finished. They'll be cornered. And what about us? Taehyung asked. What happens when we go back to Seoul? We walk into that building and we don't walk out. Jungkook stood, his voice steady but sharp with fire. Then we make sure the whole world's watching when we do. Minhyuk turned the screen toward them. A blueprint of the Hybe headquarters lit up. red lines indicating surveillance zones, secure server rooms, and private tunnels not listed on any public documentation. The server vault is on sublevel 3. You need 2 things to get in: my biometric key and the chairman's physical access token, the only one who carries it. Sejin, Jungkook said bitterly, the same man who held my hand at my brother's fake funeral. Jimin's lips twisted into a cruel smile. Then let's take something from him for once. That night, in the belly of the train, they planned what no idol had ever dared to attempt: a digital hijacking of their own empire. Not just a data leak, but a forced confession broadcast in real time. A controlled collapse of the narrative, detonated from within. They arrived in Daejeon at 3:27 a.m., slipping into the hidden bunker through a utility shaft known only to Minhyuk and the ghosts who'd once worked there. The air was thick with dust and disuse, the smell of rust and mold curling up their nostrils. But the servers still hummed, cold, waiting. Minhyuk connected his retina scanner to the console. The lights flickered to life, rows of machinery waking like beasts from slumber. What you're about to see, he said, glancing at Jungkook, will change how you remember everything, including each other. Jimin stepped forward, eyes already narrowing. What do you mean? Minhyuk loaded the first video. It was dated 5 years ago. In the footage, a younger Jungkook sat in a white-walled therapy room, hooked up to biometric sensors, his eyes glazed, tears falling in a slow, blank rhythm. An off-camera voice asked, "Do you feel more loyal when they cry for you?" Jungkook in the footage whispered, "Yes." Jimin recoiled. "What the hell is this?" "Emotion programming," Minhyuk said. They reinforced fan-based dopamine responses by embedding reward triggers during vulnerable moments. That's why he always felt closer to Army after crying on stage. It wasn't just emotional release, it was reinforced chemical feedback. Jungkook turned away, nausea curling in his gut. Another video loaded. This one showed Jimin being told that Jungkook had requested a solo debut without the rest of the group. "That's not true," Jimin growled. "No, it wasn't," Minhyuk said. "But they told you it was, to manufacture resentment, to fracture the group tension just enough to create marketable drama." Taehyung turned to the corner, punching the wall. "We were nothing to them, just stories." "You were products," Minhyuk said, "but now you're the weapon." Jungkook sat down slowly, his voice empty. "How many years did we live inside someone else's script?" "Too many," Minhyuk replied. "But we can write the ending." The plan was finalized within hours. Yoongi, from Seoul, would create a false security breach at HYBE's external servers, drawing their tech team away from the central command. Jimin would enter through the North Wing's media floor, using his old access badge to slip past press security. Taehyung would wait in the car, tracking Sejin's movements via hijacked GPS, and Jungkook would walk through the front doors like a king returning to burn his own crown. The morning of the vote arrived. Flashbulbs popped. Fans screamed. And Jeon Jungkook smiled for the cameras. Dressed in black, eyes like sharpened glass, he walked into the HYBE building as if it were just another comeback showcase. No one saw the encrypted drive hidden in the lining of his coat. No one knew that every smile was a step toward detonation. In the boardroom, the vote was called to order. Sejin stood at the center, speaking with charm, painting HYBE as a new kind of institution, clean, global, untouchable. Until the lights flickered. Until the screens behind him froze. And then began to play. First, the footage of the therapy sessions. Then the memos. Then the surveillance. Then the lies. One by one, the faces of the board turned to stone. The media floor exploded in chaos. Security scrambled. And in the center of it all, Jungkook stepped forward, his voice broadcast across every floor. "My name is Jeon Jungkook. I was built by this company, shaped by it, controlled by it, but today, I choose to destroy it." Silence. And then, sirens. Security stormed the room. But it was too late. The data had been mirrored, the broadcast had been sent, the truth was out. And for the first time in a decade, the idol gods bled. From the streets below to the digital heavens above, the empire cracked. And the boys once known only as performers became revolutionaries. The sun hadn't even fully risen when the first siren split the sky. Seoul felt colder than it should. Police vans, HYBE's private security, and unmarked black cars surrounded the perimeter of the HYBE tower. Above the building, drones hovered like vultures, recording everything. Jungkook stood at the edge of the main atrium on the 42nd floor, staring out through the floor-to-ceiling glass as the storm he'd unleashed finally began to descend. Behind him, the sounds of panic had taken over. Executives shouting down phones, assistants crying, alarms tripping one after another. The building's sense of invincibility, its clinical, ordered calm, was gone. Jimin's voice crackled through the earpiece. They've locked the elevators. I'm stuck on 35. Security's in chaos. They're detaining staff, trying to pin the leak on IT. Did you get the file uplink through? I uploaded the entire drive, twice. Mirror servers, public and international. We're beyond recall. Jungkook exhaled slowly, not relief, not regret. Just the weight of inevitability settling into his bones. He turned around as Taehyung appeared beside him, hair wind-whipped, eyes tense. Minyuk's out. Safe house. Yoongi's team got him across the Han River before the checkpoints went up. Good, Jungkook muttered. Taehyung's eyes scanned the floor. We won't get another chance like this. We do this now, or they erase it all. I know. The door to the atrium burst open. Sejin walked in, flanked by 2 guards. His expression wasn't rage. It was betrayal. Jungkook, he said, like a father speaking to a disobedient son. Don't do this. You already did, Jungkook replied calmly. You just didn't think I'd ever find out. Sejin walked slowly, motioning for the guards to stay back. You think you've revealed some grand conspiracy? You haven't. All you've done is destroy everything you built, everything we protected. We? Jungkook laughed bitterly. You mean everything you manipulated? You lied about my brother, about my memories. You put needles in my arm and called it therapy. Because you needed control, Sejin snapped. You were spiraling. Fame was eating you alive. You think your brother didn't spiral? We saved him from himself. You killed who he was, Jungkook roared. Sejin's jaw tightened. He was never strong enough for what this life required. Then maybe the problem isn't us, Jungkook said coldly. Maybe it's what you made us become. The silence between them was unbearable, the air thick with truth. You think they'll believe you? Sejin asked quietly. The world worships you, Jungkook. But if they see behind the curtain, they'll turn on you. The media will destroy you. You'll be labeled unstable. You'll be just another fallen idol. Then let them, Jungkook replied. Is she behind this? Sejin asked, his voice shifting, colder now. Hana. She got to you. Just like her father got to Minyuk. Jungkook's fists clenched. You're scared. You think exposing us will give you peace? Sejin's voice dropped. Your name will be ash. Your brothers will be dragged down with you. No one will remember your music. Just the scandal. Just the fall. Jungkook stepped forward, close enough to see the fear behind Sejin's fury. Then maybe I don't want to be remembered anymore. Not like that. Sejin's mask cracked for the first time. His next words came like venom. Then you're nothing. No, Jungkook said quietly. Now I'm free. Behind them, the atrium's large screens flickered back to life. All over Seoul, news outlets scrambled to verify the data that had hit their inboxes. Across the world, fans gasped as live feeds replayed footage of surveillance, coerced therapy sessions, falsified scandals, and the cold machinery behind the world's biggest boy band. Trending across every platform. Number Hyblis. Number Free BTS. Number Minyuk Lives. Number Jungkook Unmasked. In a secured room on the ground floor, Hana watched it all unfold. Her wrists were still red from the cuffs, but her eyes were lit with something fierce. Yoongi stood beside her, arms crossed. You really did it. No, she said. They did. Jimin made it down to the atrium, breathless, hair wild. He looked at Jungkook. They're coming, he said. Police, journalists, protesters. Good, Jungkook whispered. Let them see. The guards tried to step forward again. Taehyung moved first, faster than they expected, slamming one of them against the wall. Jimin tackled the other. Sejin flinched, but didn't run. He just stood there staring at Jungkook like a man watching his empire turn to dust. You've made enemies that won't die quietly, Sejin warned. So have you, Jungkook replied, but you'll die exposed. When the doors to the atrium opened minutes later, the first cameras caught Jungkook standing beneath a screen that looped the evidence on a continuous reel. He didn't speak. He didn't have to. The silence was the statement. And across the world, fans cried. Some in heartbreak, some in fury, some in shame for not seeing the truth. But the deepest cut was not betrayal. It was how easily it had been hidden. In a press room flooded with chaos, Hybe's interim spokesperson fumbled with a statement. The chairman had gone dark. Shareholders were withdrawing. Lawsuits were filed within the hour. But none of that mattered anymore. Because the illusion was shattered. And the gods, once golden, were now bleeding in full view. At nightfall, Jungkook returned to the old dorm. Everything was quiet, familiar, haunted. He sat on the floor in his old room, back against the wall. Jimin entered and slid down beside him. "You think it was worth it?" he asked. Jungkook didn't answer right away. "I think," he said finally, "we were always meant to fall. We just chose how." Jimin nodded. Outside, the world raged on. But in here, for one brief, fragile moment, there was silence. And something like peace. The city was burning quietly beneath a sky that pretended nothing had happened. From the rooftop of their old dorm building, Jungkook watched as Seoul crawled through the fallout, glass towers flickering like dying stars, billboards now stripped of his face, of their faces. Ads had vanished. Endorsements pulled. Streaming numbers froze mid-climb like time had turned on itself. And in the spaces where adoration once lived, there was something else, an eerie pause. Not rage, not worship, just a collective silence. "Everyone wants to know what you'll say next," Jimin said behind him, his voice low, carrying the weight of a million voices the world had thrown at them. Jungkook didn't answer. He couldn't yet. The truth was still too heavy on his tongue. The night before had ended in madness. Sejin had been taken by internal security. Hybe's board blamed him for everything, painting him as the lone mastermind in a desperate move to distance themselves from their own rot. But the files, the footage, the leaks, none of it pointed to a single man. The corruption had been woven into the structure itself, layer by layer, decision by decision, year after year. The empire had fallen, but its ghosts were still inside the walls. "Army is splitting," Jimin continued. "Some are defending us, others, they think we lied, manipulated them, that we knew all along." Jungkook turned slowly, his eyes dull but alert. "Did we?" Jimin blinked. "What? Did we know?" Jungkook repeated, stepping toward him. "In our guts, deep down, did we feel the cracks and choose to ignore them? All those years, all the signs." Jimin looked away. "I don't know." Jungkook stepped closer. "You saw me in that room, hooked up like a science experiment. You heard me say I felt loyalty when they cried for me. That wasn't a lie. That was me. And I'm still trying to figure out if I loved them, or if I was conditioned to need them like oxygen." "They loved you, Jungkook," Jimin said quickly. "Not the machine, not the edited versions of us. You, us, the real us." Jungkook shook his head. "Do they even know what that means anymore?" Taehyung appeared from the stairwell, hoodie soaked from the rain. "Press is still camping outside the building. Dispatch is claiming you had a breakdown. They're calling it a psychotic break. PTSD from overwork." Jimin cursed under his breath. "They're already rewriting the story." "Let them try," Jungkook said. "Let them run out of ink trying to bury what's already in the light." Taehyung walked over to the ledge, glancing down at the street. "Yoongi's gone dark. Hana too. Minhyuk's off-grid again. They're worried the cleanup crews are activating old assets. There's chatter about a data wipe government level. They want to reset the narrative." "Then we go louder," Jungkook said. "We don't let them silence it." He walked back inside the dorm, the others following. The place hadn't changed much. Their old plaques still hung on the wall. Their awards lined the dusty shelves. Memories froze in time like museum relics from a myth that was never real. Namjoon was already in the living room, laptop open, a wall of comments and threads pulled up. "You're trending again," he said, "except this time, it's global outrage." "Good," Jungkook replied. "Let them rage, let them feel." Namjoon turned the screen toward him. "Not just fans. Governments are launching inquiries. Corporations are severing ties with Hybe. Artists are speaking out. Some are denying knowledge. Others, they're finally telling their stories." A video played. A former trainee from 2018, crying on a live stream, sharing how he was offered pills to stay awake during comeback prep, how he was isolated when he questioned contracts, how he was told BTS did it. "Why can't you?" Jimin's throat clenched. "He wasn't lying," Jungkook whispered. "We were the standard they weaponized." Namjoon rubbed his temples. "They built an empire on your perfection, and when you stopped playing perfect, they started calling you crazy." Taehyung sat down on the floor, back against the couch. "So what now? We're radioactive. No label will touch us. Sponsors are gone. Our music's being blacklisted on local platforms." "Then we don't need them," Jungkook said. Everyone looked up. "We go independent," he said. "Fully. No label. No corporate oversight. We use the truth as our brand. We make music not as idols but as survivors, as voices that lived through it and chose not to stay silent. Jimin frowned. You think people will still listen? They already are, Namjoon said, refreshing the stream. A fan page you used to follow just posted a compilation of your rooftop speech. It's hit 6 million views in 3 hours. Comments are flooded with people saying they finally feel like they know the real you. Jungkook's voice was steady. Then let them. He sat down at the piano. Dust clouded as he pressed the first key. It was a melody they'd written together years ago, one they never released because management said it was too raw, too dark. It was about control. About losing yourself inside a machine. But tonight, he played it. And Jimin sang. Not perfectly. Not for sales. But like bleeding. The others joined Taehyung's harmony breaking in halfway through. Namjoon whispering verses between sobs, and somewhere in the corner, Yoongi's voice on speakerphone, humming the part he used to rap, now cracked with distance and pride. The camera rolled. They let it. No production. No auto-tune. No lights. Just 5 men in a room, rebuilding themselves from ruin. And when the song ended, Jungkook looked straight into the lens. No more choreography, he said. No more silence. This is who we are. And if that's not enough, then nothing ever was. He hit upload. A minute later, the world hit play. And for the first time since the scandal broke, the noise became music again. Not a comeback. Not a redemption arc. But a rebirth. Of something no company could own. And no god could contain. The video had been live for 16 hours. By the 18th, it had reached 87 million views. By the 20th, the platform's servers crashed under the weight of the world watching 5 men unravel everything they once were, every beat, every word, every silence soaked in betrayal, brotherhood, and blood. It wasn't just a performance. It was a confession. And the world listened. Outside the old dorm, thousands gathered, not with placards or anger. They stood in rain, wrapped in silence, phones raised in vigil. Some cried. Some just stared at the windows above, hoping to see shadows move, hoping to know that their gods were still alive. Inside, the boys sat in the kitchen, quiet. Yoongi returned that morning. His beard was a little longer, his clothes more worn. But his eyes were the same, sharp, tired, and carrying a truth few ever get to live with. That sometimes, the only way to save something sacred is to burn everything around it. He tossed a phone onto the table. It's done, he said. The master files have been distributed to 4 international media outlets. Copies are encrypted and stored off-grid. If anything happens to any of us, protocols trigger automatic release. The story is immortal now. Namjoon looked up. And Hybe? They're trying to pivot. Damage control, claiming rogue leadership. But the evidence is too deep. Internal staff are talking. And the shareholders are selling faster than the legal team can keep up. Jungkook was staring at his coffee. He hadn't spoken since sunrise. Not since the news broke. Minhyuk was gone. The safe house had been compromised just after midnight. No gunfire. No signs of struggle. Just an empty room, a tip chair, and a message carved into the wall with a knife. Too loud. Jimin leaned against the counter, arms crossed, his jaw tight. You think they got him? Yoongi nodded slowly. Or someone scared enough of what he knew. Does it ever stop? Taehyung asked. The fear? Yoongi looked at him. No, you just decide it's worth it. Jungkook stood abruptly, chair scraping. I need air. He left the room, heart pounding, fists clenched. He moved down the hallway past their old bedrooms, past the framed memories of award nights and music show wins, all the staged smiles frozen in time. He stepped out onto the rooftop where it had all started. The city greeted him with silence, but the crowd was still there, even larger now. He stood at the edge. The rooftop felt smaller today. Or maybe he was just bigger than it now. Behind him, a door creaked open. He didn't need to turn. I knew you'd follow, he said. Hana stepped into the light, wearing the hoodie he gave her in Kyoto, before everything fell apart. They're looking for me, she said softly. They won't find you unless you want to be found. She came beside him, not too close, but close enough to be real. I saw the video, she said. He didn't speak. You were beautiful, not perfect, just real. He finally looked at her, eyes tired, voice hoarse. You lied to me. I did. You used me. I did. And still, you came back. She nodded. Because I never faked that part. He looked at her, something breaking open in his chest again. You were trying to burn it down before I even lit the match, he said. And now? She asked. What are you going to do, Jungkook? With the ashes? He looked out at the city. The lights, the chaos, the people, the silence. I'm going to build something no one can corrupt. Her eyes shimmered. Even if it means letting go of who you were? I let go of him the moment I saw my own tears in that lab footage. She smiled, small, sad, proud.